What's going on, everyone? We are live again, 2 days in a row. Journos, Comics, and Pop Culture. Welcome, everyone. El Green, Raisin Elm already hanging out. Fat Dad, what's going on, guys? So we are here today. We have some awesome special guests here. We're going to continue the conversation that we had on my channel from yesterday, where we brought up the issue about the 30th anniversary Big Time Collectibles exclusive that they were partnering with CGC with to get 300 counted 9.8s graded solely by CGC. For those that were around yesterday, we dove into this discussion with open minds, being able to critically think and look at the situation from both sides, because I went into that show yesterday knowing that already so many people were online trashing it, thinking, oh, this is horrible. This is CGC's grading and selling their own books now. Is it this? Is it that? What is it? A lot of people have valid concerns. I have valid questions and some concerns maybe as well. We have Nelson, the owner of Big Time Collectibles, coming on in just a little bit to the show to talk about this. And I'm very, very honored to have him come and bring some transparency to the table today, right? Spider Dude, what's going on, Hunter? So I really want everyone to, again, approach us with an open mind. He is here. Nelson's going to be here at your disposal today. I do ask you guys to be respectful. I don't ask you to, be a yes man just because he's here. You can ask questions, state your disagreements. We want to be transparent today, but I just ask that you be respectful. All right. We are all human beings. We're all here out of good faith, or at least I hope we are, right? E-Dub, what's going on? So not only are we bringing Nelson with Big Time Collectibles in, I got the swaggiest of them all. Awesome special guest today. We're lucky to have him. I'm just going to bring him in.
Swaggle
Haas.
What up? What up, man? Thanks for thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so guys, if you're not subscribed to Swag, just I don't know. I have nothing to say.
Don't bother. You're not missing anything.
But Swag Haas dropped the video today. I watched the video. It was very well done. I highly suggest you guys watch that video. And because of that video and because of me doing the show, I reached out to him and said, hey man, come on and let's talk. And he obliged. So we are here today and we're going to discuss this. And I do want to talk a little bit with you today about what's going on before we bring in Nelson. And I think after watching your video and, yesterday I did my stream and I didn't have all the facts and I was, learning as I went and, listening to everybody's concern. And I think you and I have a lot of similar views on this. We always try to come from a place of positivity rather than negativity. We want to see everyone in this hobby do good and grow and succeed in whatever they are doing, especially as a business entity. So, and we're talking about two here. We're talking about Big Time Collectibles and CGC. But I think we're both very open and honest when it comes to our questions and concerns when things pop up. So I want to get, how about this? I'm just going to let you jump in here, Swaggle Haas. Like right now, where are you at? And you're probably going to kind of sum up a lot of the stuff you brought in your video, but and I don't know if you know as much as say I do or everyone in the chat does, but from what you know right now, looking at what's going on with this venture, with this exclusive Big Time Collectibles exclusive partnering with CGC. And I'm doing this to partnering, guys, because we're going to talk about what that actually means. But kind of, can you sum up exactly where you're at right now?
Yeah. And I was able to catch the rewind on your video yesterday and kind of fill in some gaps since I've been able to record the one I put out today and just kind of learn more about stuff. And I've, been on the Instagrams and reading people's comments and just kind of getting a sense of it. And, I think that there's the story at hand and the topic at hand. And when, BTC joins us, I think it'll be great to just hear his thoughts on the whole thing. But I guess then there's also kind of maybe the bigger issue at play here, which is like this CGC just, really just testing the waters of like where are the boundaries for what they can do as a business, and kind of widening them or exploring them. And what it seems to be is that while maybe they haven't done anything necessarily egregious yet, you can, I think collectively with all the different things going on in the market and the different stories and controversies, you can just sort of feel like this expansion or this idea of like, different monetization things or different ways of, making money and stuff. And I think all collectors can kind of feel that. And it feels like it might be diving into some kind of, unscrupulous territories. And so I kind of just think that is, in the video that I made, that was sort of like the idea I was kind of feeling. And I even think, it's special that I got to hop on here today and you're just going live. I think on our conversation Friday, that's probably more what we'll really lean into as well.
Right.
But I think, I'm just kind of feeling, trying to, I guess, put some thoughts into what the wider frustration is going on right now in the kind of the hobby.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to what Swaggle Haas said, guys, we will be going live. I'll be doing a Friday night live. Swaggle Haas will be joining us then as well. And we're going to dive into a deeper issue. I think there's a lot of public perception of conflict of interest going on in the hobby right now. And again, I say public perception. I'm not necessarily saying it is or it isn't, but there's a widespread, ideology of what's transpiring right now. And it's valid. We are really going to talk about that on Friday. We're going to flesh out multiple scenarios and variables going on. But coming back to this and focusing on this, I will say, the title of this video today is, valid concerns or valid frustrations or, just the same old conspiracy theories. And I'm going to preface this right now and tell all of you guys, I think we are absolutely somewhere in the middle. And I think it comes back down to the fact that we need to stop jumping to conclusions and rushing to just point fingers and pick up pitchforks, because it does nothing. Not only does it does nothing productive, like just from the action itself, but the consequences of the reactions later on, it produces kind of like fallacious ideas of reality, meaning false perceptions of the industry, the market, or businesses or people, because we jump to a conclusion. And you know how social media is. One person says one thing, the next says it's the telephone game on steroids. And, this idea that this is, what CGC's involvement in this comic book right here, I think the idea of CGC's involvement is been completely blown out of proportion. And now we have this tunnel vision on what it is without really listening to the facts in the truth of the matter. Again, I'm not saying that there's no room for concern when we get down to the specifics, because there is.
Sorry to interrupt. I think a lot of it is just the optics, which like applies to like a lot of the other types of controversies that kind of happened. There's just sort of a lot of bad optics, I think. And I don't know if it's as nefarious as sometimes we feel that it might be. It just is something that, I think, and maybe this is why they pull down their article, because maybe they realized, maybe our headline wasn't articulated exactly how we should have done it, or maybe our article didn't explain it correctly. And so I think the optics is the big issue. But yeah.
I love that. And I love that you bring up their article. So we're going to revisit this. I brought this up in the yesterday's stream and we talked about it. I'm going to bring that up right now. Let's see. Here it is. At least the headline. And they have since pulled this down. Now, before I bring it up, I am going to say this. If there's something controversial happening and somebody retracts a statement or pulls a video down or a statement down or an article down, immediately a large majority of the population, or in this case, collectors, right? We think that means, they're villainously doing something so devious. Maybe it could be just what Swaggle Haas just said. Maybe they realize that, well, this we see now. We see what this looks like. So let's take it down because this wasn't our intent. Now, I'm not saying it's one way or the other with CGC, but I like what Swaggle said about that because I think we all need to go into it with those optics. Let's try to give them the benefit of the doubt to say, well, maybe they pulled this down because they listened to the pushback and they realize that this might not be in the best interest. So let's pull this up and let's just read the headline. CGC exclusive Death of Superman 30th anniversary gold foil variant. Now, in the article, it states we're proud to, partner with Big Time Collectibles. But let's focus on the headline. CGC exclusive Death of Superman 30th anniversary gold foil variant. Swag, let me ask you this. As a collector, like if we're just hanging out one day and you come across this, does this not sound like CGC is literally producing and manufacturing their own exclusive comic book?
100%. I mean, how could you not take away that this is them getting into the retail game if I just look at the headline?
Yep, absolutely. Now, let's add context though, folks. And again, we're going to have Nelson coming on. He's going to add a lot more context, but these are some of the facts that help strip away at this statement that they made that probably didn't come off right. CGC is not selling this book. This book is being sold exclusively on Big Time's website, as Big Time does with all their exclusives. Or most. I'm sure. I think they have, they'll do con exclusives and things like that. But anyways, the point is CGC actually isn't selling this comic book. Okay. And as they stated in the article, this is some form of partnership, but yet they failed to even put Big Time Collectibles' name in the title, which I think should have absolutely been there. So again, maybe CGC is just trying to get all the advertising or marketing out there for this that they can just to boost themselves up. And that might not necessarily be, inherently bad thing, but to do it and to state it like this, it comes off wrong, especially like you said, Swag, like what's going on right now in the hobby over the last few weeks. It's been crazy. So you got to be very, very careful about how the optics, and I often say this on my channel too, no matter your intent, perception rules the day, because perception is basically the reality that people viewing you or listening to you or reading or watching, that's how they're going to perceive things. And it doesn't matter your intent. If they perceive it one way and that perception spreads like wildfires, it don't matter if you're, and I'm not comparing, I don't mean to bash anybody's religion, but even Jesus was crucified, so it's like you could be a holy, the most Gandhi, like it doesn't matter. If people perceive you as doing something wrong, that can be bad news for you. So again, maybe they retracted this because they realized it just wasn't worded correctly. It didn't come off right. Optics. That's one factor in this scenario. Now, I want to bring up another thing, and we're going to talk to Nelson about this as well, is that there is the CGC logo on the book. And while I do have some insider info on that, we're going to let Nelson talk about that when he gets here. But again, Slaghouse, I want to ask you, what kind of concerns maybe do you have just considering seeing CGC's logo on the book? And again, keep in mind, maybe we don't know, okay, did CGC put the logo on the book? Did Big Time want to put the logo on the, like, what's the intent? We don't really know those details. So without knowing that, still, again, the optics for you, how does that make you feel just seeing that logo on the back of the book?
Yeah. And, all I can infer is what, is presented, right? Which is this CGC is doing this exclusive retail variant with BTC and they got their logo on it. So I can only assume that they have some financial, agreement with the sale of this book, right? Like, why wouldn't I assume that? I mean, they literally have their logo on the back of the book. So maybe that's not the case, but that's going to be my assumption. And then I think what that ladders into is the bigger problem, which is, okay, if CGC is going to be grading their own books that are going to be also sold, and we all know that the higher the grade, the more money it's going to sell for, then immediately it introduces this conflict of interest, right? Where now they are incentivized to be more lenient on the grading of their own book to give it higher grades because that'll sell for more money and they themselves will make more money. So again, if that's those, I don't know that those are actually the details, but like when you just look at it from like the bird's eye view, I mean, why wouldn't you assume that that was going to be the case?
Right. I hear you. And again, guys, we're talking about optics. We're talking about perception because it gives us an idea of why some of these concerns are valid. And again, I always encourage you all to research for the facts, reach out to companies. That's why we're having Nelson on today. We want transparency. We want the facts. We're going to get some. And while the concerns are valid, don't just go pick up the pitchforks and create some crazy conspiracy theories. But we're getting to the heart of these concerns, and we should listen. We should still listen to those things. Another concern that's been brought up is print run. I mean, in Swag, I know, I think both of us have probably talked about this before. It's already, you got these minimums that the publishers have set for any time somebody does an exclusive. And with Marvel, it's 3,000. I believe with DC, it's just 1,000. So when you have a print run that's cut from that, 300, 500, 750, whatever the case may be, we often ask, where are those books going? So there's that factor. And we do know that there's 1,000 of these books because it's a DC book. They're all getting shipped to CGC. And then they're all going to go through a pre-screen process. So this part I like so far up to this point. I think this is good because it doesn't say, oh, well, like, are we manufacturing 9.8s? Well, you have 1,000 brand new books that are card stock. The chances of 30% of them being 9.8s is pretty solid. And as CGC's grading, you're going to assume that anytime one isn't a 9.8, they're going to set it aside. By the way, CGC will be responsible in disposing of the other 700 books that aren't the 300 9.8s. Okay, even if more become 9.8s, it's a 300 limit. All the rest are going to be destroyed by CGC. They have announced that there's going to be a video, which I think is good for transparency.
That's good.
But of course, Swag, I know we talked in private about how them destroying these is kind of questionable, maybe too, in the eyes of some. But let's get back just to print run. Do you feel that so let me ask you this, okay? Regardless of what you think about CGC destroying the books, it seems like the process of the pre-screen to get the 9.8s is pretty solid. And it seems like we're going to have a video of the books being destroyed, regardless of who it is. Would you agree that those things right there are at least things that we can sit and shake our head and be like, okay, this is good. This helps us be more comfortable with something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that right there definitely dismisses this, what could have been, in theory, what you could have imagined happened is like, oh, we print 300 and then CGC like just barely looks at it and goes, yeah, 9.8, just give it. Like, so that takes that element away, right? That there is going to be this, grading integrity that we're going to go through however many we have to go through, 1,000, and pluck out the 300. And then we're going to have it on video and everyone can see it so that we all know that this is the true print run. So yes, for that particular part of it, I think that is good. Yeah.
And now I know though, and like you just said, there's a CGC logo on the back. So, again, I know that I'm not saying I am, but I'm not going to fault people. There's going to be people out there that are be like, well, I still don't trust these grades because, for whatever conflict of interest, it says CGC's logo on the back. They're, so there's unfortunately CGC talking to you guys that's still going to probably be a perception for a lot of people. And of course you can't please everyone, but again, I'll state this: 30% of 1,000 books that are brand new cardstock getting 9.8s is not is not at all unbelievable whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't seem unlikely that that would be the case.
Exactly. So, now let's talk about the there's going to be a number count. There's going to be a 1 out of 300, 1 out of 300, 2 out of 300, 300 out of 300. This is what some people have been calling for when talking about exclusives for a long time now. I think this is great. But here's the thing. It's not on the book. Now, if it was on the book, they would have to do a new press for every book. That's not going to happen. You can't, especially for a store exclusive. I mean, it's one thing if the publishers did it, but for a store exclusive, you're going to have a new master. I forget exactly what you call them, but like the film that, you know, creates the page for every single book. You're going to have one master film for 1,000 books, and that's what they're paying for. So one thing for me that I thought about, how about even just a stamp? Like if there's an actual stamp that exclusive just was put on that.
Yeah. I mean, just write on it. I mean, Todd McFarlane has a numbered one where he literally wrote on it or whatever. And it's like,
yep.
My thought was you're working with CGC so that you can like go through this process so that you could just do like writing on it. And therefore CGC won't give it the like writing on cover or distinction, you know, like that there's some cleaning up that element there. But I don't know, man. Like, I feel like maybe this is harder for retailers, but like in the sports card space or like in like the Marvel card space, there are cards that have printed numbers on it. And maybe it's different because that's like Topps printing it or you know, or like Marvel's printing it. So they have a bigger budget to do it.
Right.
So maybe there's those elements, but it's from collector standpoint, it's like, there's proof out there that it can be done and it should be done. So I think that there's going to be people who are frustrated. That's like, why can you still not put numbers on it?
Good, great point. And you actually made me think, because I remember one of them, I think it was the Marvel milestones, but the actual, like the one in 100 or whatever, it was like kind of the opposite of embossed. It was like in
set, kind of pressed in and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And it was like silver or gold. So I'm wondering if they actually did that post manufacturing of the card with some other type of, like maybe they did have some type of like mechanical stamp that went in instead of like having just a master print that did that. And if that's the case, I think to your, to what we're both saying, if you're looking at a retailer trying to get an exclusive, there's no way that if it's a different master print for 1,000 books that they're going to be able to afford that.
Yeah, they're just not going to have the resources to do it.
But if there is a different mechanical mechanism that a publisher or people like Topps for cards has, maybe that would be something that retailers can look into if it's more cost affordable. But these numbers are numbered by CGC and they're going on the actual label. So I will say, I'm going to look at this in two ways. One, this is better, in my opinion, than not having any numbering. They're attempting a numbering system when collectors have been calling for it.
Yeah.
So I got to give them kudos for that. But I think you touched on this a little bit as well. It's still, it's if this is indeed a retailer exclusive, it's kind of giving CGC as a third-party grading company more power over the actual product. I guess I don't know the proper way to say it. I'll let you jump in here, but again, I'm going to play devil's advocate and still say, well, maybe it's just clarifying that CGC did indeed only grade 300. But I know you brought some things up in your video on this specific subject, so I'll let you respond and kind of add your take there.
Well, I'm glad that there's like this transparency and there's this process of like, okay, we're going to make 1,000, we're going to throw away 700, we're going to have 300, we're going to put it on the label, et cetera, et cetera. That's all well and good. But my question is, should CGC even be doing this whole thing? Like, is that what the tenets of their company should be, getting into? Because, it's this weird thing where it's like CGC in my definition of them, is a company that grades collectibles. They don't manufacture collectibles, right? And in this process, they're going through the 1,000, and then they're going to dispose of the 700, and they're going to grade only the 9.8s, and then that's going to be the supply. Like, they're actively participating in the, you know, the supply of it. Right. And I feel like they should be more objective in this situation, where they should be like, no, if you want only 300 BTC, you need to send us 300 books, and we're going to grade 300 books. And if only 100 of them are 9.8s, that's what it is. If only, you know, and the other 200 are 9.6s, then so be it, you know. Or if you want 300 9.8s BTC, then you're going to have to send us however many you think you're going to have to send us for us to get 300 9.8s. And if that means that we're going to have to grade 700 of them for you to get your 300, then so be it. And you got to destroy the rest. Okay, we're not destroying the rest.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump in the middle of that. They do have a service called pre-screening, right?
Yeah.
So let's throw that in there, because I think this is proper context. They still send them 1,000, and they get pre-screened, and then they tell CGC, stop at 300. I only want I'm sending you 1,000 books. I only want 9.8s or maybe higher. I don't know. Maybe if there's a 9.9 or a 10, fine, whatever. I only want 300 of them though. So even if say you grade 622 of them, and at that point we have our 300 9.8s, stop right there, and then send all of the rest back. Right. Yeah. So they don't destroy them, and because then it's still basically a standard pre-screen order.
And that would be totally fine to me. I don't think CGC should be involved in having to destroy the other ones or whatever. I think they do the pre-screen grade, they do the service, they send it back, and it's up to BTC to figure out how they want to manipulate their print run and stuff. And I realized that the partnership now kind of bleeds into this idea of like, well, in order for CGC to put numbers on a label, now it kind of gets into this thing. So, you know, that's where I kind of see this as being like maybe an overstepping, in my opinion, of what CGC should be actively doing in this situation. Okay. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of like, you know, maybe I'm just being too I don't know what the word is, but like, focusing on the details too much of like
right. I just so OCD on trying to figure it all out. I will say, just to remind everyone here, folks, we are going to bring in Nelson from Big Time Collectibles in just a couple minutes here. We got special guest Swaggle you know, joining us today, discussing what I started discussing yesterday about the 30th anniversary Superman exclusive quote unquote partnership with CGC. And again, I do the quotes for partnership because we want that terminology to be understood in the proper context for this scenario. So thank you all for being here. And I just want to say this too. And again, we're going to bring Nelson in. He's going to give some great perspective in just a couple minutes. I want to let everyone know too, like I'm looking at this again as a way for us to, as a community, which means us as collectors, people with YouTube channels talking about stuff, retailers, CGC, industry players, to actually have a conversation and learn from it. You know, I've said this before on my channel. I'll say it again. The great, and I learned this doing a lot of work, going to school for business, doing internships for businesses. The most successful businesses don't have a bunch of yes men at a table. The most successful businesses actually pride themselves on being able to have their thinkers, their group tank or their think tank, sit down and argue with each other. And they sit there at the table and they argue, they yell and scream, they say, no, you're wrong, this is right, because da-da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, they get to some middle grounds because they listen to each other, they take in different perspectives, they put themselves in other people's shoes, and they say, okay, how can we merge this all together and do what's best for the company, or for this case, all the companies involved, for the hobby, etc. So that's really what I want to do today as well. So, yeah, with that being said, guys, and again, we're going to bring on Nelson here, and I want everyone to be obviously respectful in the chat. You know, we are all here on good terms to present transparency and to really hopefully, like I said, allow this industry and this hobby to grow and thrive in the right direction instead of pull it down just for the sake of pitchforks. So, without further ado, from Big Time Collectibles, Nelson.
How's it going?
Hey.
How are you guys?
What's going on, Nelson?
Doing great, doing great. How about everyone here?
Good.
We're diving in, and look, I just want to say, I applaud you because I'm sure the last couple of days have been a little like you have, and I went into my show yesterday because I was already seeing it all over Instagram, all over the Facebook comment groups. It was just all negative, like, oh, and you know, again, it was obviously it's more focused on CGC. You know, when you get the big third party company CGC, you know, coming out using certain verbiage, saying exclusives and partnership, and you know, you see their logo on a book. We're talking about optics, but everything was so, you know, the pitchforks were already out. So I came on my stream yesterday and I tried to sit here with an open mind, ask the proper questions. Now, I do want to let everyone in the chat know, here's a few things that you guys need to do if you want to educate yourself and if you want transparency. I should have left links below, and I apologize for not doing that. But one, I want you guys to all go check out Legion of Comics, all right, on YouTube. Go check out Legion of Comics YouTube. They did an interview with Nelson discussing the book. A lot of great stuff there, a lot of awesome facts. Also, follow Big Time Collectibles on Instagram. Nelson, was that earlier today or yesterday that you did a little live stream?
That was earlier today
today. Yep, and you addressed some good things there as well. So I just want to let everyone know those are out there. It's going to help you out. So Nelson, I want to say first and foremost, like when we look at this book, I'm gonna pull this book up too. Do I have the actual picture of the book here? Give me 1 second, folks. Oh, I have the back of the book. Is this it? Come on. Here we go. We're going to bring this up. And I did say this in my stream yesterday as well. Like, first off, these are absolutely beautiful. The nostalgia is ripe. You know, no matter what we think is like historians going back and looking at what happened 30 years ago, you know, this necessarily wasn't even the death of Superman, but the death of the spec 90s market as we know it, the death of the multi-million print run. But that book will always mean a lot to us. In this right here, you got the gold, the silver, and the black bag. They are absolutely awesome. So I want to give you credit where credit's due. I think this was an absolutely great idea. And I am not a big like a variant or incentive or exclusive variant guy. I don't really spend a lot of money on variants. But I was looking at your website, and I will applaud you again for having some really, really unique and amazing covers. So I do believe that you're offering a real solid product. So this right here at its core, I think was a great idea. It's a great design. I also think after hearing you talk, when you said, I want to get these graded and offer the gold ones as an exclusive graded book. And I only want to do it through CGC. I see nothing wrong with that right there as well. And I think it actually creates something unique in and of itself by doing that. So I don't want you to have to hash out, you know, everything about the book again. I mean, you got the interview with Legion, you got your video that you put up on your Instagram. So I want to get right into some questions that might address some of the concerns that are, you know, still out there for folks. One, and we'll bring this up here again, is who is funding this book. And I'm going to bring this up. You had CGC announce this book stating that this CGC exclusive, Death of Superman, like, you know, your company name was in the article, but it wasn't in the title. So can you kind of understand, like, just, you know, going into this, like, could you understand, like, okay, well, this might not come off, you know, kind of adding the proper context to what's going on here?
Yeah. This number one, this is not the first time that
Right.
we did an exclusive in conjunction with the CGC for them to be the exclusive grader. We did it on Batman 125, and surprisingly enough, we never heard an outrage like this. And that's actually 2 covers that we did. It also has the CGC logo at the back, and CGC also made almost the exact same article, and we never heard one thing about it from other people. But
Can I just interject there and say that's where, you know, the C2E2 stuff that's really,
yeah. Because when was that? Was that, you know, some months back or last year or?
that's just very recently, that Batman.
But it was prior to
Prior.
Yeah, prior, yeah.
Acetate gate. So
right.
So on this article right here, so what happened basically is the picture that you initially showed me. Those are the initial mock-up that we were that I was going through with DC Comics.
Right.
So that's not an actual comic. It's not the final cover per se, but so I was so excited. I want to show it to social media that I posted it like that, and I believe I put on that the coming soon from Big Time Collectibles or something like that. Not thinking that there will be an outrage, because the back of the book has not been updated yet.
Right.
And it's not 100%. That will be the final back cover.
Right.
Well, I
don't mean to cut you off, Nelson, but I want to, because I definitely want to talk about the back cover. And I have the both of those images to show, but let's put a bookmark on that and come back to that. Let's talk about just the funding for this book and it being a Big Time Collectibles exclusive. So, and feel free, like, look, you don't have to answer anything that you feel comfortable with, or you don't got to give any type of details that you don't want the public knowing. I know you're going to be as transparent as possible, but I think the most important thing to know is that at least putting this book together, like, this is a Big Time Collectibles funded exclusive through DC as a publisher.
Correct. I mean, I don't like showing invoice, but I will be paying for everything. Big Time Collectibles will be paying for everything. Grading with CGC is not free.
Right.
Just because the CGC is going to be destroying the other 700 copies. Right. There's no, if people are thinking CGC is grading 300 copies, that is ridiculous. CGC will do it 9.8. That is ridiculous. Number one, DC Comics will not allow you to do 300 comics or print run. Never going to happen. We did 2 different covers. They allow us to do 1,000 of each for silver and gold. And what I did was the gold, I made sure that the gold will be limited to 300. So as the same way I did with Batman 125, I have to send everything to CGC. And the good thing with CGC is they told me that we can only do the sequential numbering, which is 1 to 300 to 300 to 300. Pre-screen 9.8. The stipulation is they have to receive the entire print run with an invoice of how many we got printed with DC Comics. Now, if they get that and they see one of the boxes is not sealed or tampered, that this deal is void. They are not going to do it for me. They're not going to do the numbering, and I'm for lack of a better word, I am fucking screwed, because I have to give customers all 300 orders their refund, because CGC will not put the sequential numbering. Now, once they receive it, everything is sealed. They're gonna look at the invoice. If the invoice says we received 1,000 copies, plus sometimes DC will add, I would say in 1,000 probably 30 extras in there. So 1,030 will be on the invoice. What the CGC will do is they will make sure that there's 1,030. If there's only 1,029, again, for lack of a better term, I am effing screwed again. They'll not do it. It
Let
has
me
to be
let me jump in here, folks. I want you to focus on what Nelson's saying right now, because I know, look, in Nelson, I know you said in your video, like, we can throw the truth out there. People are going to believe what they want to believe. But I know that you guys, there's a lot of people here that are still going to not trust CGC. And I have my own issues with CGC at times, obviously. But I think this, at least, you gotta at least give them credit here. Because if CGC simply wanted to, perform unethical tasks, there wouldn't even be an effort here to work with a retailer at this capacity, like to really set these stipulations in their terms of agreement within the contract. So I really applaud CGC for doing that, because again, whether you want to trust them or not, I think this actually shows how they're trying to handle business when they're working with retailers. And I think that is important in terms of transparency and ethics moving forward. But Nelson, go on.
Oh, to answer your first question, yes, it is being funded by Big Time Collectibles.
Okay. So, Swaggle House, did you have any, just upon the couple of things we touched on right now, did you want to add anything there or have any questions to add?
No. I mean, just so I can officially say, yeah, I appreciate it, Nelson, for you coming on. And I definitely think it's great to hear from you and have the transparency. And I want to echo kind of how Journo set it up. And again, if I, like, my thing is, like, I think retailers should be able to kind of create whatever they want. And I think that this is great that you're making this cover. I think a lot of my qualms come just from how CGC is involved in it. And, I kind of want to just continue to hear you kind of break it down and your experience putting it together. And it's a lot of optics where it's like the CGC being, a label on the back. And I have no reason to, I absolutely believe you that this is how it works and that you guys are paying for everything. I'm just curious, like, why does CGC even put their label or their logo on the back of the book?
They didn't put their logo. I actually requested, ask CGC, is it okay to use your logo at the back of the book?
Mm.
And then I also asked DC Comics, will it be okay to put CGC logo at the back of the book, knowing CGC is a third party grading company? They said that as long as CGC approved it, we will approve it. So there are exchanges of letters. Show that because I'm gonna get in trouble with DC. I can't show any proof of that.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
But there are approval from both DC Comics and CGC to put the logo in there. Okay, why would I want CGC logo to be at the back of the book? Because number one, I want it to be exclusively graded by CGC. Number two, I want people to see that not only did it say CGC foil edition on front of the book, the back will also says exclusively graded by CGC, and he'll have that. And that is by the way, that's the updated
right here. Okay, yeah. Let me add context to that. So, first off, as you guys can see here, it says exclusively graded by CGC. So it's not just a logo, it is making a statement. But hold on, we're going to come back to that. Let's go back to the mock here. Because if we're going to zoom in here, and it's a little hard to read, but this one says exclusive variant cover presented by CGC. So, Nelson, let me ask you, did you make these changes? Was it you that changed the wording?
Yes, because that same, if you check the silver foil, it has the same sentence at the back, but it has my logo. That is the initial mock-up of it. But CGC is not the one that really presenting it. It's Big Time Collectibles with,
right.
Exclusively graded by CGC. So that was the initial one.
So you're saying this says the silver one says exclusive variant cover presented by BTM.
BTC. Yeah. And
sorry, BTC. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So I think, folks, and again, this is here we talk about optics. this is definitely something that I think is a misunderstanding and misinterpretation, where you were doing a mock-up, throwing the logo on the gold one, just trying to play around with where it would be. But you had that other wording that shouldn't have been there. And what it really is supposed to say is this one right here, exclusively graded by CGC. So Nelson, thank you so much for clarifying that, because it makes a lot of difference here. But I just want to, and then again, Nelson, again, I appreciate you, because I told you prior to the show, it's like, we're gonna ask some tough questions and put you on the spot. But and Swagger Haas and myself, we were kind of talking about this, and maybe this is something that, you know, retailers or CGC can sit and evolve in the long term. But there's two things I want to focus on, and I'm going to ask the question. One is this: this book is exclusively graded by CGC. That is nothing more than a fact being stated by BTC, right? Nobody else is stating that, but BTC themselves. CGC isn't stating it; they're stating that. But, and Nelson, here, this is kind of the question I want to ask. Whenever a company has a logo on the cover of a book, or just stamped anywhere on a product, you're going to assume that, well, let's not say you're going to assume. It can easily be taken out of context. So I want to ask you, because I know that I understand your intent here. You don't just want to make this known on the slab itself, on the label. You want to make it known on your book. Do you think that, though, are you empathetic to why seeing the label on the book could cause some more concern and just maybe be a bit of a problematic situation? And especially, and I know this isn't on you, but especially when you see the logo on the book, and then let's pull it back up one more time. And then and then you get CGC's article stating CGC exclusive. So again, I just want to, like, putting those two things together. What are your thoughts in terms of the folks that are like, this doesn't seem right?
Well, when I saw it, when I saw all the outrage and stuff, actually, Darren Hutchison of Unknown Comics reached out to me about it as well. He said, "No, dude, that doesn't look good. It's giving a perception that CGC is on this one." I told him, "Dude, why would CGC, get a cut on this one and hurt their reputation? I mean, this is small money right here compared to what they're making. It doesn't make any sense why people would think that." But he said, "But it does sound bad. It does look bad." And that's one of the reasons too why, that mock-up is actually different, is because we want to make sure that, people don't be looking at it that way, because it's CGC isn't part of this. They're just the official grader. So I would like to give credit to Darren Hutchinson for pointing that one first to me. Right. Second, I did apologize to everyone with a post. I did told him that I do apologize for I was really excited to post it, not thinking that it will outrage a lot of people about that CGC logo at the back, right? Without the corrected and actual cover first. Okay. I didn't expect that outrage, because right. Number one, I wasn't thinking, well, my book isn't as a date cover. We didn't do it. Everything got approved. We went through all the process. Everything should be okay, and nobody should be mad. But boom, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people got mad, and and thinking, thinking a lot of stuff about it. But I do not blame them. Yeah, I do not blame anybody for thinking that. I do apologize for for what happened there. But here's a product that I'm really proud of. Right. And it's legit.
Right. I want to bring in, I'm going to ask Swaggle Haas a question, but before I do, I want to applaud Nelson here, guys, everybody in the chat. Nelson, like, I know I think if I was in your position, it kind of sucks. Like you just said, I did everything legit. I thought I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And then, man, what's going on? But I'm going to tell you, Nelson, I hope you don't, I think these books are going to sell absolutely, absolutely well. You know, I don't think, you know, even if people don't understand it, there might be some bad press. But I want to applaud you because I think what you're doing right now with everything that's been going on, you're really kind of laying a foundation and modeling what a lot of, I think, retailers and just industry entities need to be doing. You're coming here and you're taking the time, and I think that's going to mean a lot more for you in you know, big time collectibles in the future than just the kind of controversy surrounding the book right now. So again, I'm trying to say that to give you some positive feedback and inspiration. So I think people are really going to see that and grab onto that.
Yeah.
But
I would
go ahead, Swag.
I was just, and I would echo that too. And I would also add, you know, hopefully, you know, you I'm sure you got maybe some passionate messages or comments or things like that. But I hope you understand too. I mean, it is a great product, and I would think that a lot of the animosity is not necessarily coming from at you. I think it's coming from the CGC side of it,
Right.
And the frustration is coming from that side. So, you know, I hope you know, people don't make it a personal attack towards what you're creating, because, you know, it is a very cool book, and you definitely are doing it the right way.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask you a question, and then we can have Nelson respond to this. So, you know, you're sitting here, we're talking about the logo, the CGC logo, the context of the statement. Does this kind of change your perception, or does it, where do you sit with it now, knowing what we just learned from this conversation, that specifically the logo on the back of the book and the intent of why it's there?
Yeah, I understand. It's very clear to me now. And I think there is a big difference of, you know, the wording of, like, you know, exclusively graded by, and trying to use this logo as being an indication that this was all done on the up and up, versus saying this logo kind of represents the people making the book, right? I think there's a distinction there. And so that's very, very clear to me now. And I think that when more people see that, I think that they'll feel a lot better about it. Where my mind wanders to is, like, it's sort of a bigger thing, which is, should CGC even be involved in creating this, like, stripping down to the 300 print run and all that stuff? Like, I actually have questions, and I don't know what the answer is. And, you know, I'm willing to have my mind totally change on this. I'm not so sure that they should be the ones that dispose of the 700. I think actually it should go back to you, Nelson. And then I know that the end results are the same, but I actually think the 1,000 copies should go back to you, and then you should dispose of the 700. That's what I personally think. But
would love to hear your thoughts on this, Nelson. Just to add a little more context before you respond, because Swagahas and I were talking about this before you joined, about, like, it's the same process, just like anybody that would do a large order and do 9.8 pre-screens, right? You know, you pay CGC, you do the 9.8 pre-screen, and, you know, you set a cap. Once you hit 300 9.8s, you can just stop and then send everything back to us. And then yeah, you could be the one to destroy them. So yeah, so I would just love to hear your thoughts on what Swagahas just, you know, stated there about who actually is responsible of destroying the excess books.
Yeah, we chose that route of CGC destroying the book, because I believe that it is much safer. And if let's say they send it back to me, that 700 back to me, I do have employees that works for me. If I put that on the side, I trust my employees 100%.
Sure.
But you'd never know what can happen.
You
know, if that book coming back to us, it gets busted, stuff got out, you know. But if CGC right there and then, they have the whole entire print run with an invoice from Lunar, that this is exactly how much it is. They got the 300. They have full confidence that they can put one at 300 to 300 of 300, because they know they destroyed the other 700. If they send back the 700 back to me, they're thinking, well, we trust you, but what's going to happen with that 700? if they have it, they know they can put 1 to 300 to 300 300. If they don't, they really couldn't trust anybody that ain't going anywhere else. It ain't gonna get slapped PCS, or it's not gonna be sold at the back. You know, hey, go ahead here. You can have some.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me, and I totally agree. I probably would say that I have like a stubborn opinion that I'm like, I still think that they shouldn't even enter that as like as a principle, as a business, because they are guaranteeing the supply of 300 being 9.8s when, you know, I have this like kind of macro view that it's like, well, you make the collectible, and if there happens to be 300 that are 9.8s, then that's what it is. You know, otherwise you're manufacturing the 9.8 itself as being the print run, which is like, I don't know. It just is an interesting, like, kind of philosophical thing of like, should they be doing it?
I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a manufactured print run of 300. It's 1,000 print run, but I would say it is manufactured print run because it's originally 1,000. Everybody knows. I already told everybody about that. But that's the only way you could get pre-screen 9.8. You can guarantee 300 9.8 on a foil cover. Actually, just 500 you can, but minimum you could buy from DC Comics is 1,000. But in order, I gotta send all that one. They have to find 300 9.8s. They can't just go like, Nelson, go send us 300 and we'll make sure they're 9.8. Well, no, we can't do that.
Yeah. And I realized that this is probably the only way to kind of make it happen. Yeah. But I still think that it should be you that makes the 300 print run. Like that. This is just my like stubborn kind of philosophical idea. Or DC has to start saying we're only going to print 300 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like these. I think that it's very specific. It's very specific.
That's really hard.
You guys, man, I gotta. So there's so much here because first off, Nelson, you brought up something that I didn't even think about. Can you? So let's play a hypothetical. Can you imagine what Swag and I were saying? Like it all goes, it all goes back to Nelson, just like it would any normal customer. He gets his 309.8s and he gets the XS 700 that weren't graded, and now he could do whatever he wants with those. We are already, as collectors, sitting here questioning the validity of all these retailers making exclusives. Well, where are they going? How do they know they're not sitting on 100 copies in the back and just they're randomly showing up on eBay? Or, oh, look, I found another one. Like, there's already that issue. So this actually takes that heat off of the retail, off of Nelson, off of Big Time, to say that you can't accuse him of anything. And it does protect CGC's interest as a business, saying, well, you as a retailer, you're saying that this is going to be a guaranteed only 300 graded by CGC. We need to guarantee that. I can't send some back to you and then have some pop up graded by CBCS. What does that say to our, the public perception and of our business? But Swag, I hear you, man. There's still this kind of like, it's this fine line or gray area where, you see CGC as being such this third party grader, and that's all they're supposed to be doing. So I just thought of something, and because you just brought up DC, so I asked about unless DC changes like the print run thing. What if you have these situations where a retailer has the freedom to choose an exclusive product to be exclusive, to be graded exclusively with a company, and that company has to take them all, has to validate the invoice from Lunar, and to say, yep, we have them all. There's nothing. We're protecting our self-interest. They grade their 300 or whatever, but instead of destroying them themselves, or instead of sending them back to Nelson, they go back to the publisher, and the publisher destroys them. I don't know.
I realize the end result is the same, but I actually think that that's the right way to do it.
I am pretty scared of that. I'm pretty scared. The 700 going back to DC Comics, I'm pretty scared of that one.
Yeah. Or
I trust DC. I trust the contact person through retail to the retailer exclusive variants at DC.
Yeah.
People that will be receiving at Lunar, no, I don't know. I don't know. Lunar distribution is different from DC Comics, guys.
Oh, right. Yep.
They
Mhm.
also sell comics. You really don't want them to have a hand on
Ah,
after I get
see, there's so many. There's so much.
Yeah.
I think. Look, I think
It
at the
is-
end of the day, it like regardless if we could sit here and poke holes in it or not. I think at the end of the day, the way that it's working is it does limit room for error or room for any crazy stuff to happen for these books to get out. So I do understand that. And I think at least at this point, I mean, we can work our brains around, oh, what if you did this?
Yeah,
What if you did that? But I do get it. Like it's from it comes off print, Lunar brings it to CGC and boom. And then the retailer gets what they're stated to have. And I get it, but you know, at the end of the day, again, you know, not everything is a perfectly well-greased machine. And like I said, hopefully these conversations right here can at least, you know, evolve the process and allow these things to continue to positively evolve in the future, so we can keep getting more awesome, exclusive, awesome product that we could collect and get more of the community understanding the process and getting more of the, you know, stripping aside the crazy pitchfork mentality around it. So, Alex, did you want to? You had something you wanted to?
No, yeah. I mean, it's you know, very much like kind of noodling, like the minutia of like how it actually should go. But you know, if I'm trying to be as diligent as I can with like the transparency of it, you know, this is just the way that I think that it should go, and maybe it's just not possible, or maybe it just should never be allowed to have less than 1,000 print run, and just that's just what it is. You got to get 1,000 books graded. You gotta, you know, and then CGC can say, hey, of the 1,000 that were graded, only 300 were 9.8. So you can still say there's only 309.8. I don't know, you know, but again, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I just think that like if I was the, you know, arbiter of how it would happen, this is sort of the thing that I would say, or like the process I would say would need to be. But you know, it's.
Yeah. I do think that's a whole broader kind of conversation there and everything. But so I do want to, I see a lot more people jumping in. What's going on? So we do have Nelson here with Big Time Collectibles, thanking him for coming on. And of course, awesome special guest, Swaggle for coming on the discussion. We're just really trying to bring transparency. And so far, guys, if you're just joining, I recommend you guys going and following Big Time Collectibles on Instagram. Nelson did a great live stream that's posted that you can watch, has a lot of context. I also recommend going and checking out Legion of Comics on YouTube, because Nelson did an interview with them yesterday or a couple days ago that was really awesome as well. A lot of context there. I do want to, you know, we've covered a lot of ground here, but I do want to, I think probably my final really big talking point today is going to circle around partnership. And I've been doing that all stream, partnership, because I think that's another thing that kind of got distorted, or maybe just people weren't understanding. And I know when Legion of Comics came and reached out to me the first time, they were like, it's not a partnership. And I'm like, yes, it is. Because, well, it says right in there, we're proud to partner with Big Time Collectibles. So I want to get to the nitty gritty of this word partnership. And I think that's why, and I asked in my stream yesterday. So, okay, so, you know, did CGC and Big Time both put money in the pot to do a shared exclusive, or, you know, did they just work out some deal where they, you know, CGC is going to get some percent of the profits on the, you know, secondary market or something like that? But, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nelson, I'm understanding now that they're calling this a partnership basically because you, as a retailer, you as the individual creating this exclusive variant, you decided to solely go with CGC to make this a product that is only going to be a CGC graded book. And that's basically why they're calling it a partnership. I mean, is it? That's basically the foundation of it, right?
Correct. And if people are thinking, well, CGC might get a portion of the sale, that doesn't make sense, because having them pre-screen 1,000 books to get 300, I'm paying for those. Them grading 300 copies, I'm paying for those. That's a lot of money already. You want more?
Right.
That's a lot of money already for them. And I will be doing like CGC exclusives like this, graded exclusive like this, like at least quarterly. This is my third one. I did 2 Batmans. This is the third one. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys in on something. There's gonna be one for Spider-Man as well. Actually, 2 for Spider-Man. So there's gonna be more of this. So that's a lot of money going. I'm paying CGC to grade my books already. That's a lot of money. They don't need money for the sale. They don't need that.
Right.
And plus, that small money that they're gonna be getting, if I am gonna give them any part of the sale, will that be enough to just mess up their what do you call it? Their you know what I mean. The
reputation.
The reputation and everything.
Yeah.
It's for that small amount of money. It doesn't make it.
I want to speak to that, because this is, again, and every time I say this, whether it's about CGC or sellers or whatever, it's like, you guys got to understand that, but especially with bigger companies like CGC, I'm not saying that, we know that power corrupts, and we know that greed exists out there. And I'm not saying that even CGC is perfect in their ethics, but you do got to understand that there is the power of public perception. Oh, yeah. And that reputation has to mean something to collectibles. I do believe that companies like CGC sometimes don't care about or don't think about reputation, because maybe they're too, strong-headed, or their ego is kind of bloated. Like, well, we don't care about turnaround time, so they make decisions thinking that it's not going to ruin their reputation. Is basically what I'm trying to say. And hopefully good businesses learn from that. But you got to understand, like what Nelson was just saying, he's selling 300 books. And keep in mind, these 300 books are only $150. And I know Legion acknowledged this, and I want to acknowledge it too. I think for you having to order 1,000 of these, having to pay CGC and go through the pre-screen, like selling this at 150, I think is really solid. I definitely think you could have got probably double that and still sold 300 copies. So them getting any profits off of this would be a very minuscule 0.00000000012% of what CGC probably brings in on a quarterly basis. But if this did get out where CGC is taking money off the back end for something like this, that can absolutely hurt their reputation. So and again, all I'm asking you guys is to ask yourself these questions and say, cost benefit analysis, is it worth it? But Nelson, actually, before I answer this question, I do want to acknowledge, because I really appreciate everyone here in the discussion, but Comic Journey, thank you so much for the donation. Why not donate the discarded comic books to less fortunate kids? It could be, okay, let's actually, it could be a write-off. Let's get back to this. We're going to have a couple of audience questions to ask Nelson before we end. I want to get back to that. And I think we have one here. Thank you, TMNT, for the super chat. Oh, that's a great question. Okay, we're going to come back to those questions. I want to finish up on the partnership thing. Quick question, probably just a yes or no question, Nelson. And you don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable, but was the partnership verbiage CGC or you, or a mutual thing in terms of just using that term partnership?
Oh, it's mutual. I agree with it. It's a partnership. I didn't do it by myself. CGC, agreed to be the exclusive grader for this book. To me, it's a partnership. It's not just I pay you, you do this, you're my vendor. No, I believe it's a partnership. When I deal with my publisher, it's a partnership between me and the publisher, this exclusive. when I
So you
do
feel the exclusivity of it is what creates that partnership.
that partnership. You got to have a when you do business, you can't just do a business. You're my vendor, I pay you, you do your job. You gotta make them feel like it's a partnership. They gotta own up to it. That way, when the product comes out, it's good. Sometimes people just look at partnership and look, oh, they're partners. They must be split. I mean, there's a lot of meaning on partnership. It doesn't mean just monetarily.
For sure. Swaggle House, I want to bring you in on this and see if you had any further suggestions or anything to add, just to focusing on the term partner or partnership, because I think, again, we go back to optics. I understand. I agree with Nelson. Partnership. It's not just black and white. There's many layers of how you can use the term, but I still understand how again with their verbiage here with stating it partnership, like just what are your thoughts at this current point, Swag?
Yeah, I mean, to what Nelson is saying, I can totally understand how partnership can have different meanings and things like that. But I mean, it just comes back to like the optics, and even just the article that CGC put out. I mean, you can't read anyone's mind, so you don't. If they're not explicit with what that means, then you can only assume what it could mean. And in most cases, I think it's fair that people are going to assume a partnership means like a financial partnership, especially, in this particular instance. So, right. But I totally understand what the partnership actually is, as you kind of explain it.
Right. Okay. All right. Nelson, did you want to, I do want to get to these couple of questions. Did you want to add anything else just to that?
No, I think it's perfect. I don't want CGC to change it. I like that it's called a partnership, because for me, I think it is, and it's. I didn't do it. BTC didn't just do it. Right. CGC is highly involved in getting it graded, and a specific reason why I could put him on that price range at $150 each, because of CGC.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. So again, Nelson, thank you so much for being here. Before we let you go, I do want to give folks a chance to ask a few questions here. So let's get back to this. What do you, and I do believe there's been a couple people that have done this, but just to this question, you have these excess books. I think, let me actually answer this question before you even jump in, Nelson. I think Comic Journey has already answered why he can't do it with this one, because he wouldn't be able to get the 309.8s. Because remember, CGC needs to receive the complete order from Lunar. They need to check the invoice, and then they need to make sure that all the other copies are destroyed. And that's why with this particular one. But let's still ask Nelson, have you ever thought of doing something like this in a scenario where it's not like this exclusive thing where every other book does need to be destroyed?
Yearly, we donate close to 1,000, a couple of thousand exclusives of ours every year. It's donated all the time to kids. They are the next generation of readers. We'd love to give comic books. We also order pre comic book day stuff, and we don't even have a brick and mortar. What do we do with it? We give it away to kids. When we go to conventions, we give away books. This particular book right here, there is just no way you can make me give this away, because once it goes to the wrong hand, big time collectibles reputation, CGC reputation is gonna be trash.
Right.
And if I tell you guys, oh wait a minute, no, because we gave them to kids. That's what happened. We gave them to kids. You think a lot of people will give us, will put down their pitchfork? No.
Right.
They will poke us even more.
Yeah. Very definitely understood, for sure. So, all right, let's look at what Team and Cool Guy asked here. What will you do if 150 of these come back with Newton rings? Did CGC sign a promise for no Newton rings or scuffing to inner slab wall? I think the Wino PGX exclusive is kind of a tongue-in-cheek, just being humorous there. But just to the bulk of the question, TMNT, thank you. Just like any type of damages, obviously books can arrive with, you know, crack cases. Is there any type of communication or documentation of in the event of these slabs, these 300 coming to you with any type of damage? What's kind of the process from there?
All right, the process will be the same as everybody else that gets their books from Slabs from CGC. When we get ours, that whole 150, what we do is we line them up first. We make sure that we put them all in order, because last time we did our Batman 125, man, it was a headache. They're not in order in the box, so we put them in order. Then we make sure that the numbering is correct from 1 of 300 to 300 of 300, because of course they're still done by hand, of course, when they do the typing and stuff. We want to make sure that the numbers are correct. We don't want 2 with 1 to 300 and 1 to 300 on both. You know what I mean? It has to be all correct. And then next, of course, we're going to look at the, like what you guys do. You look at the slabs for cracks, Newton rings and stuff. So every book will be inspected before we ship them out to the customer. And I guess a question that's being asked from me on Facebook was, can we request the number that we want? No, you can't request any number. Number one, I have a feeling it'll sold out quick. Even though we put we're gonna put a limit of 2 per customer max. I know it's still gonna sell fast, but what we'll do is we will give the number in the order it was received. If you're the first one to order it and you ordered 2, guess what? You get number 1 and number 2. That's how it's gonna be.
For sure. Yeah.
So what would happen if, like, let's say you opened up your case and there were like 100 books that were all cracked and just whatever, like they were slabbed upside down, you know, would you have to return them? And is there like a wait time for CGC to destroy these other books because they want to make sure that you got the 300? Like, is there any discussion around that?
That is a good question right there.
Right.
The destruction thing, by the way, we have not spoke about when are they going to destroy it. But there was an instance from that Batman 125 limited to 150 as well, like this one. There's an instance where the casing were cracked, and there was one that the number, there's 2 of them with the same number.
Oh.
So I sent that back to CGC. They sent it back to me. They corrected it.
Was it, and what was that time frame like? Was it?
Oh, it was quick. It was quick.
Okay. Because you already got the pre-sales, or you got people that have already purchased these. They're waiting on them.
Yep. And plus, if you guys have done it before where you turn in a broken slab or something with CGC, number one, they will pay for the shipping cost, and it's a next day air. They get booked next day air. The following day, they got them. And then they prioritize it and send it back to you quick on the next day air as well. And they are paying for those stuff. Not just for retailers like me. I'm assuming it's for everyone that have done it before, use the system.
For sure. Okay.
Can I ask one quick question? Nelson, have you ever looked into it to like what it would take to actually get the comics printed with numbers printed on them, as opposed to having to add a number on a label? Is that process something that is feasible by a retailer to ever do?
It will. I believe Marvel Comics and DC Comics will not do it. But a smaller company like I think the Pooh thing, they do that. I mean, smaller companies that can actually print 30, 40 copies that have their own printers can do that. But Marvel and DC, that requires 3,000, 1,000 comics.
Yeah,
it's going to be possible.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
Plates. I'm sorry. Because it would have different plates. When you print the comic, you only use one plate. But if you put numberings on it, they will have plates for each and every one of them.
I think there's frustrations because in the sports card world, and even in Marvel trading cards, they have instances where they have numbers printed on it, and maybe the cost of the sports card is just that much cheaper that they're willing to do it. I don't know.
It is a lot cheaper in cards.
Yeah, I would love to. But like you were saying, Swaggle earlier, there's definitely probably some ways around it for some situations, like Todd McFarlane signing and doing the numbering on it himself. Nelson, I'm sure people don't want you going and taking a Sharpie to your
Handwriting.
exclusives and numbering them. Hey man, it's like, you know, I put my autograph on there too. Oh man, good stuff. So I want to, you know, Nelson, give you a chance to head out of here. You're a busy guy. Again, I want to thank you for coming on here. Like I said earlier, I really hope that you feel that all this kind of controversy is, you know, making the best of these situations as they come. And we're always going to have haters. We're always going to have people that just don't want to see anything from a positive light. But like I said, you're leading the way. You're having conversations. People are watching. People are listening. And believe it or not, like I think even CGC is listening. Like I believe CGC pulled that article down because they realized that, oh, you know, the perception of this isn't how we want it to come off. I think they had good intent behind it. So I encourage all of you to keep talking, but doing it in a productive manner. People like Nelson, you know, they want to be here. They want to be transparent. There are good people out there running good businesses, trying to do good things. So let's keep supporting people like that. Nelson, any, you know, final word, even just, you know, talking about, I don't know if you want to just do a little quick drop of when the book launches and where they can find it for anybody that's actually interested.
Yeah. I was about to say, are you kidding me? I love what's going on, man. I embrace this. I embrace this. This publicity is really good just because, number one, I'm not scared of it because I tried to do everything in order. I did everything the right way as much as I know I did. I never lied to people. I told them everything that they want. I wasn't scared of anybody asking me questions because what I would tell you is the same thing that I will tell other people that will ask me questions about it. It's the same thing. Even if you ask CGC, they're most likely to say the same thing, which whatever I said to you guys. And you know, if people will just gravitate and going to my website, bigtimecollectibles.com, by the way. And for everyone that will be buying the silver foil, I just want to remind everybody, although we're selling it raw copies, which is $39.99, we are also going to be offering it as CGC, but it will not have the numbered 1 to 300 because it doesn't qualify for that, and we have the raw copies of it. So that one, there will be no limit on buying the raw copies. There's 1,000 print run. We will stay true to the print run on that one. Pre-sale will start Friday, this coming Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time at bigtimecollectibles.com. No limit on that. There will be a limit of 2 per customer on the gold foil exclusive at $150 each, numbered 1 to 300 to 300 of 300. It's going to be called CGC foil edition because it is exclusively graded by CGC.
Right. For sure. Okay. All right, Nelson. Thank you again, guys. If you are interested, go check out bigtimecollectibles.com. And again, give them a follow on Instagram. And don't forget to check out Legion of Comics video for more context as well. But I think Nelson fleshed it out very, very well today. So Nelson, thank you so much. I wish you the best. Like I said, I'm probably gonna grab me one of those, the black bag variants myself. But thank you so much for taking the time today and for being here. We really appreciate it. Swagos, do you have any final words for Nelson before we let him get out of here?
Yeah, no, I echo that. You know, appreciate your time, Nelson. Thank you so much for coming on, and you know, best of luck with the book going forward.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, take care, Nelson. Okay, awesome stuff. So, all right, well, you know, I just wanted to, you know, give a minute for, you know, Swagos and I to kind of close out here and to give you guys in the chat just maybe if you had a couple questions for us. I did see somebody asking Nelson if they're gonna show when CGC's destroyed them. I think that is going to be public. I believe Nelson did say that CGC is going to post the video themselves. I'm sure it'll be spread around social media as well. But and again, I do want to remind everyone, you know, I think and I've been monitoring the chat, and I think a lot of people, this definitely helped a lot of people. And I think a lot of people see that, you know, oh man, Nelson, the big time collectibles, I really like what he's doing. Honest guy, he's doing this, he's doing that. But I still, you know, it's like there's a lot of concern still with the CGC side of things. And again, I don't fault you guys. So do influencers get first dibs? No, absolutely not. Everyone's getting treated exactly the same. You got to go to the website. Nelson stated that on his video, but yeah. So swag, and just one more thing. I meant to say this, and I'm going to say it again. We are going to go live on Friday, and we're going to flesh this out. We're still going to talk about this, especially the CGC side of things. We're still going to talk because there's something here that's very, you know, kind of rides that same fine line. And I'm just going to bring it up. The Whatnot publishing, or, you know, and Whatnot having sponsorships with sellers on their own selling platform and things like that when we talk about conflict of interest. So we're going to talk about all those things in detail on Friday. But Swaggle Haas, just jump in here, man. I mean, great conversation. You asked a lot of good questions yourself and brought up a lot of great talking points. So final words for the day.
You know, I mean, yeah, it was great to have Nelson on. I think it's interesting because I fall back on what I was saying earlier, where I really I see it more as like a philosophical, like, you know, what is CGC? What, you know, as far as what services should they or shouldn't they be providing in this situation? But from Nelson's standpoint, I think what he's doing, he did totally nothing wrong. I think it's great. You know, I think, you know, more power to him to make, you know, this anniversary book. I think that's awesome. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think I'll save some of the other thoughts for Friday, you know, when we get into some of the other topics. But, you know, thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really, I just think CGC needs more transparency, to be honest. I think we don't need somebody named Mike jumping on a 2002 like chat forum. Like CGC needs to come out and lay stuff on the table and evolve, because I understand what you're saying, man, about just the perception of what CGC is supposed to be is a business entity. I think there's room for that to evolve. I do, but totally. I think it's only going to be accepted when we actually understand it, you know. And like I saw a lot of people saying yesterday, well, CGC doesn't owe you or consumers or collectors anything. No, sure. Nobody ever owes anybody anything, but it's just good business. We hold the power in the success or the failure of any business. Why? Because without us, the consumer, there is no business. Purchasing power is what drives everything. So it's not about owing, but it's about understanding your customer base and understanding that in order to be profitable, in order to make money, at the end of the day, you better be running a good business based on what your consumers and customers want. And we don't just want the service and the product. We want to understand the business. And that's, I think, where we're really at right now. And I think they really got to do this. Like, I would have loved to have somebody from CGC in this show today talking it up with us.
It's very apparent, and I can't fault them, that CGC has to look to ways to grow as a business, right? If you don't grow as a business, you're going to die. Like, that's just the nature of capitalism. So they have to constantly be exploring new opportunities and things like that. And I think even just in the video that I put out today, you know, I don't mean to be like old man yelling at cloud, as I said, but it just is like, it's clear that we're headed towards new ways to monetize the comic book hobby, and CGC is exploring that. And, you know, but they just have to be transparent about it. I'm not going to fault them for doing that, but if you go to their about section on their website, they have a very specific way that they describe themselves. And that way does not include being a retailer of comic books. So if they change it to, we are also a retailer, we're also a publisher, we're also doing this, then sure, that's totally fine. But yeah, it just needs to, you know. We cleaned
I
up.
don't know.
Do I have a partnership? No, unfortunately, I do not.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Oh man. He has a partnership, a love hate. It's a hate relationship. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Well, Swag, before I let you go, man, let the chat know what's going on. You guys better know where to find him, but
Yeah. Swaggle Haas Comics, got a YouTube channel by the name that's right there. If you guys don't know, you can go check it out. And yeah, that's really it. Appreciate you having me on.
the swaggiest of all. Appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much. So, guys, stay tuned for Friday. I think we're probably going to go live around 5:30 Pacific time, but I'll make an official announcement tomorrow. So, hopefully, we're going to have Swag back. We're looking forward to having a Bronze Age nerd on as well to have a really awesome discussion then as well. So, guys, again, check out, Big Time Collectibles. If you want more information, check out Legions of Comics. If you want to check out that interview, of course, check out Swaggle Haas. And thank you guys for being here. And if you're not subscribed to me, I would appreciate you guys doing so. We're going to hit 12K real soon, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So thank you all so much. And until next time.
Peace.